Welcome back to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I am so happy to welcome you once again to my channel. I still remain my humble self, Austin Ikeru, and you all are welcome to my channel, Austino FS. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Trendline. I'm going to show you how you can draw your trend line like a pro, like a professional forex trader. Trendline is one of the tools that I use as a price action trader, and this trend line has helped me to generate so much money from the forex market. The main thing there is, if you truly know how to draw a trend line, you will be cashing out from the forex market. Remember that a trend line is used during a trending market, so you use a trend line for support and resistance level, because in a trending market you might not be able to use a horizontal line to plot your support and resistance level. So that is why you need a trend line, right? So a trend line will help you to spot support and resistance level in a downtrend or in an uptrend. But the problem that most forex traders make is that they don't know how to draw a trend line, right? So some of them will draw a trend line, and at the end of the day, price will break through that trend line, right? So that is why it is advisable that you go and master how to draw a trend line perfectly. So that is what I'm going to cover in today's video. I will show you how you can draw a trend line perfectly, right? How you can draw it perfectly. Now, for you to draw a trend line, the first thing you need to do is to identify the market structure. You have to know whether if the market is in an uptrend or if the market is in a downtrend. If the market is in an uptrend, then the price will be making higher high and higher low, right? So what do? You use a trend line to connect the lows in an uptrend, right? Including wick. Some traders ignore wick, saying wick is nothing, forgetting that wick in a higher time frame can be a strong trend in a lower time frame. So that is why you have to include wick, right? So if the market is in an uptrend and the price is making higher high and higher low, use a trend line to connect the lows. But if the market is in a downtrend making lower high and lower low, you use a trend line to connect the highs, right? So what are you doing? You are waiting for price to come to the trend line. So you need just 3 touch of a trend line for it to be strong. So when you connect your trend line within 2 points, because you need 2 points to connect your trend line, right? So once you connect your trend line with 2 points, you need just the 3rd point for that trend line to be confirmed. And once price respect the trend line the 3rd time, you are good to go. So that is the simplest and easiest way to trade the forex market using a trend line. So I'm going to show you an example on a live chart how you can easily draw a trend line, right? Very important. Alright, right now I'm going to show you a live example using TradingView. So I want you to watch this video from the beginning to the end so that you can understand how you can simply draw your trend line, right? So now I'm in a live chart. This is gold against the US dollars, and we are using the 1 hour time frame. So like I said, if you want to draw a trend line, you first of all look at the market structure. Now if you watch clearly, you can see that the market structure is a downtrend. So we are going to plot out the trend line and connect it to the highs, right? Because the market is clearly in a downtrend, making lower high and lower low, lower high and lower low, lower high and lower low, lower high and lower low. So we simply plot out a trend line and connect it to the highs, right? You need 2 points. You need 2 points to connect your trend line, right? So after connecting your trend line on the 2 point, then you need a 3rd touch to confirm the trend line. So what do? You simply go to the tools, plot out your trend line and connect the swing highs. the swing highs, right? So these are the swing highs. Make sure that it's touching. All right. All right. Now you have plotted out your. Make sure that it has so many touches for it to be confirmed. Right. Now you have plotted out your trend line. Right. So for you to do this, you need only just these two touch, this one and this one. Let's assume that this one has not occurred yet. This move have not occurred yet. So what you simply needed was just these two touch, right? What you need was just these two touch. Okay, this is what you needed, just these two touch. So once you identify a downtrend and you see two highs, right? This is a swing low and this is a swing high. So what you do, you connect the trend line with two swing high and then extend it to the future. Extend it to the future, right? You adjust it so that it will touch it well. Now you have connected your trend line. So what you have to do is, now that you have connected your trend line, you simply exercise patience and wait for price to come to your trend line. The essence of plotting a trend line is for you to easily identify resistance level in a downtrend, because right now it is very impossible, in fact difficult, for you to identify a horizontal resistance level, right? Because whenever the price breaks below a support level, it tends to move deeper, right? So there is no way you can identify a horizontal support level, right? Because whenever price in a downtrend breaks below a support level, that support level automatically becomes a resistance level. So the easiest way for you to identify support and resistance level in a trending market is using a trend line. So for the fact that this is clearly a downtrend, we are going to use a trend line to connect to the highs, right? You need just two swing points to connect the trend line and then extend it to the future. So whenever price comes back to test the trend line, that is when you expect to place your trade, right? For instance, this is the beginning of the move, right? Maybe this is where you identify the market, and you simply plot out your trend line connecting these two highs, then you extend it to the future. So you can clearly see that the market, after coming up to the trend line, collapsed lower, went all the way to this point, and then came back here again, almost touching the trend line, and then went down again, came back here, then triggers the trend line, break a little, and then ended with a wick, right? So this is the perfect time for you to place a sell trade, right? Because this is the first swing point, second swing point, and this is the third one. So this is the best point to place your sell trade, right? So once you place your sell trade here, your stop loss should be somewhere above this level, right? And then where should be your take profit? Your take profit should be a break of trend line. A break of trend line should be your take profit, because when a trend line is broken, it means that the trend have changed direction if you want to ride a trend. But if you just want to have a target take profit, you can simply calculate the amount of profit that you really want and then set it up, right? Because this is clearly a downtrend, right? So we don't clearly know when the trend will end unless there is a break of market structure. That is when a trend line is broken. So if you clearly see that the market is breaking so many support level, so I cannot say that a support level will be able to hold a strong or healthy trend, right? So like I said before, at any point that the price reverses from, that point becomes a support level. So you can still use a trend line to connect the lows, right, to identify a support level. So you can use a trend line to simply connect the lows All right, so if you want to have a target take profit, you can simply use a trend line to connect the lows, right? So whenever price gets to the lows, you take your profit if you really want a target profit, right? So let's assume you have connected your trend line at the highs and the lows, and this is clearly a downtrend, and you are waiting to place your trade at the highs because this is a downtrend. So whenever price comes, first and foremost, you need to have two swing points, right? Swing high to connect your trend line. So this is the first and this is the second, right? Let's assume that the price went collapse down and then come back here and then hit the trend line, right? And then ended up with this wick. You can simply place your sell trade here, your stop loss above here, and then where will you take your profit if you want a profit target? You can simply take a profit whenever the price comes down to this trend line, at the lows, okay? Because this is clearly the point whereby price can reverse from before heading straight to the upper trend line. So if you want a target profit, you can simply take your profit whenever the price hits the low trend line, right? But if you really want enough profit, if you really want to cash it big, you just have to ride this trend and wait till a breakout of the trend line. So once the price breaks above the trend line, you simply take your profit, right? Because whenever price breaks above a trend line, it means that that trend is over and a new trend has begun. So if you watch clearly, you see that immediately the trend line was broken, a new trend started, and that is what? An uptrend. So look at it. Immediately the trend line was broken. Look at where the trend line was broken. Immediately the trend line was broken, a new trend developed. So for you to also ride this trend, you can simply plot out another trend line and then connect the lows. Connect the lows. Right? So like I said, if you really want to ride a trend, you have to follow the trend until the trend line is broken. So imagine this is where you connected the trend line, right? And maybe this is where you place your trade, or here, right? And you are able to cash all these moves. Then finally the trend line was broken and you take your profit. So immediately you take your profit, you also monitor the market again to know whether if a new trend has developed. If you can watch, you will see that a new trend has developed here. The market is now making higher high and higher low, higher high and higher low, higher high and higher low, because before the market was making lower high and lower low. That was what the market was making before. But right now, before the market was making lower high and lower low, lower high and lower low, lower high and lower low, lower high and lower low. But now the market is now making higher high and higher low, higher high and higher low, higher high and higher low. So you can clearly see that the trend have changed direction. So if you want to catch this move too, what you have to do is to connect the lows and wait for the third touch, right? You have connected the first swing low alongside with the second swing low, right? Now you are waiting for the third touch. Once the third touch happens, you take your trade. And where is the third touch? This is the third touch, right? This is the first swing low, this is the second swing low. You connect it and then extend it to the future, right? And then you wait for the third touch, and this is the third touch. So this is where you simply place your buy trade, and your stop loss should be below the trend line. You can also target your take profit, right? Or you can ride a trend and wait for a break of trend line. But if you want to target a take profit, you can simply look for another trend line and connect the highs, because you know that is where the price can reverse from. Connect the highs, right? Connect the highs. So you simply connect the highs. If you want a target profit, connect the highs. So what do? For the fact that you have confirmed that this is an uptrend and you have connected your trend line from the first swing low and the second swing low, you now extend it to the future. So you connect the upper trend line, right, from the highs, then extend it to the future. So you watch for the price action. So you can clearly see that whenever the price comes to the trend line, it bounces off from it. Whenever price comes to the trend line, it bounces off from it. So if you want a target profit, you can simply take your profit whenever the price hits this upper trend line, right? But the fact that you waited for, you draw your trend line from here to here and extended it to the future, and you got a third touch here, right? And this is where you place your buy trade and your stop loss here. So where do you take your profit? You simply take your profit here. When the price hits the trend line, you take your profit because the price will likely bounce off from the trend line, right? But if you don't want a target profit, you want to ride the full trend, you can simply hold onto your trade until there is a crossover, right? And when the price breaks below the trend line, you simply take your profit, right? So you can clearly see that this is where the price breaks below the trend line. So what you do, you simply take your profit. So that is how you trade using a trend line. This is how simple this strategy is. So my advice to you guys is to go and backtest this trend line strategy. It's one of the simplest trading strategy that you can master and nurture. You can only use a trend line during a trending market. You don't need to use it during a ranging market. During a ranging market, you simply use horizontal line for your support and resistance level. But during a trending market, you use a trend line. So go and backtest this strategy, and if it works for you, you can then implement it in your live trading account. I hope you love this video. If you do, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more educative content like this. Turn on the notification icon to be notified whenever I publish new content. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day.